Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Elizabeth, and I'm coming to you from the home of the Gadigal and Wangal people. And I'm very happy to introduce today with us Louise Cosgrove, who is the team leader with Kids in Traffic, and they are the New South Wales Early Childhood Road Safety Education Program. Welcome, Louise.
Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me join you today. I'm joining you from the lands of the Wallamadigal clan of the Darug Nation, and I'm here at the beautiful Wallamadigal campus of Macquarie University today.
Fantastic. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. Louise, can you tell us a bit about Kids in Traffic and how your organisation supports family daycare educators?
Yeah, sure. So Kids in Traffic is funded by Transport for New South Wales, and we're delivered in partnership with Macquarie University. We deliver a range of free road safety education workshops for early childhood educators throughout New South Wales. And we also provide resources, advice and support to help educators address local road safety issues, and also to include road safety education as an ongoing part of their program. We certainly understand that family daycare educators are often out and about with children, so the protective practices of educators are particularly important to ensure children's safety. Educators can take a look at our Kids in Traffic website for more information about our workshops, and they can book in there as well, and they can also see the range of road safety education resources that we provide.
Great. Yes, I have had a look and there are some fantastic resources there. So that's great. And Louise, what are some key messages or practices that we can share and implement with children to ensure that they're keeping safe when they're in and around vehicles?
So we do have our Kids in Traffic key road safety messages, and these messages have been designed for adults to use with young children as they travel together, as passengers, out and about as pedestrians, and also when they're playing and riding. So family daycare educators are ideally placed to share these messages with children during their everyday experiences like dramatic play, music, story times, arrivals and departures, transition times, and also their discussions with children. And also while they're out and about on excursions or when they're transporting children. And then educators are also really well placed to share these messages with families for them to use when they're out and about with their children too. So as young children don't yet have the skills and understandings needed to keep themselves safe, it's really crucial for the adults to take responsibility for their safety. So although adults will take that responsibility, we can still really engage children in actively understanding these road safety messages, and they do have agency in learning about how to be safe in and around vehicles without actually having that responsibility to keep themselves safe. So our messages are simple, they're clear, they're based on identifying positive safety behaviours. So for children as pedestrians, we simply say always hold a grown-up's hand. When a grown-up's hand's not available, hold on to a pram, bag or clothes, and always cross the road with the grown-up. So the key here is really to maintain physical contact and close proximity to children when we're out and about walking with them. For children as passengers, our key message is always buckle up safely. And this will look different depending on the age and size of the child. So it's important educators are aware of not only child restraint legislation, but also best practice to optimally protect children in vehicles. The next message, always stay buckled up, awake or asleep. And also no matter how long or short the journey is. So sometimes when families are travelling close to home at lower speeds, they might take risks like allowing children to sit in the front seat or travelling without a car seat or a booster seat. Another passenger message we have is always get in and out of the safety door. So the safety door is the rear curbside or footpath side door of the vehicle, and that's usually the safest way to enter and exit. And then for children, when they're playing, we say always ask a grown-up where it's safe for you to play. And play spaces that are fenced, that are away from vehicles and from water are always a good option. And then always wear your helmet when riding your bike or your wheeled toy. So it's great if we can start that helmet wearing from a young age when children do get that first bike or wheeled toy.
Fantastic. Yeah, they're really good messages. And we know that between October 2020 and March 2023, new requirements were introduced under the Early Childhood Education and Care laws and regulations around transport provided or arranged by a service. So are there any key messages or improved practices that family daycare educators or providers can implement from these updates?
Yeah, there certainly have been some changes over the last few years, and the requirements that have been introduced certainly aim to address the increased risk of harm when educators transport children as part of service provision. So certainly risks arise when children aren't restrained in the best way for their age and size, when car seats haven't been fitted into the vehicle correctly, or also when children aren't buckled up properly. So when transporting children in vehicles, it's really important to remember we can't control what happens outside of the vehicle. We can only control what happens inside. So it's really important that we take steps to make sure children are restrained in the safest way possible on every journey. There are also some other key risks when transporting children. The risk that a child can be unaccounted for. So that might be that they're not at the collection point for after school care pickup perhaps, or that they're unaccounted for at an excursion venue. So definitely transitioning from one location to another obviously carries greater risk for a child to be unaccounted for. There's also a risk very clearly that a child could be injured or harmed when we're transporting them. So this might happen while we're in the vehicle, when we're embarking or disembarking, and also during transition between the vehicle and the family daycare premises or other location. But these times of key risk are also not mutually exclusive, and sadly we know there have been cases where a child who is unaccounted for has been injured or harmed as a result of being left in a vehicle. So we really do need to take these risks and our risk mitigation strategies very seriously. So when educators and schemes provide or arrange for the transportation of children, it's crucial to ensure compliance with all of these regulatory requirements and that we have policies, procedures and practices in place to ensure the health, safety and well-being of children. So engaging with all relevant stakeholders, whether it be scheme staff, other educators and families, excursion venues or other third parties, is absolutely critical at the planning or review stage. So each stakeholder will bring their own viewpoint and it can provide a different lens to view policies and procedures through. So for this reason, it's really important to make sure that family daycare educators, who are the end users of the documents, have input into their formation as well. So we know each family daycare scheme should have a process in place for educators to become familiar with policies, procedures and risk assessments. Induction and ongoing education and training should be provided for educators along the way. So it's not only important for educators to understand transport and excursion policies and procedures, but also most crucially to be clear as to how these translate into practice. Completing risk assessments and obtaining authorisations and recording children's attendance at certain points of the transport process can be tedious, but these administration tasks, if completed thoroughly, not only help to protect children, but they also help to protect family daycare educators if something does go wrong. So Kids and Traffic have worked with Department of Education to develop a series of template samples and explanatory documents in our Safe Transport Toolkit. And we've worked closely with them over the last few years to do that, to reflect those changes to regulations. And we highly recommend that family day carers visit the Kids and Traffic website and check these documents out.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Louise. That's a really good overview of what family daycare educators and service providers can be doing. So that's great. And we understand family daycare educators should plan for continuous road safety education. So what might that look like for a family daycare educator embedding road safety education into their programs?
So children and families travel each day to get to and from family daycare. So arrivals and departures and transitions can be really key times to talk about how children keep safe on those journeys. There are so many opportunities for spontaneous teachable moments, along with those chances that we have for more planned road safety programming throughout the day. But the most important thing is to ensure that road safety teaching and learning experiences are relevant and meaningful to children's real lives. So if educators are observing arrivals and departures, they do get a chance to see where children are at risk. Are families buckling children up in the safest way? Are they using the safety door? Are they holding children's hands? So once educators determine important areas of focus, they can plan for these ongoing teaching and learning experiences to address behaviour that puts children at risk. The great thing about early childhood road safety education is that it completely can go cross-curriculum. So we can implement it through music, drama, literacy, numeracy, technology, creative arts. There are so many possibilities. Too many to cover today in our conversation. So again, I would encourage educators to come along to our free workshops to learn more about road safety education programming, or they can also organise an online or face-to-face workshop for their scheme staff and other educators as well.
Sounds great. Great. So lastly, Louise, how can family daycare educators work together in partnership with families to ensure that all those road safety practices that you've spoken about today are consistent and then continued in the home environments by the families?
So keeping children safe is a very unifying goal. So educators and families can work on that together. Instead of noting and highlighting families' unsafe practices, it's really important to focus on giving attention to all the safe behaviours that educators observe too. So something like taking photos of adults holding children's hands at arrival and departures is actually a really great place to start. Then educators can use these photos to make displays, posters or books to highlight pedestrian safety. Orientation and enrolment can also be a really good time to talk with families about road safety. So educators might find out how families will be travelling to and from family daycare, how many children are in the family, who'll be dropping off and picking up, and things like that. And then educators can certainly let families know what their expectations are at arrival and departure times to ensure children are kept safe too. When educators include road safety education stories, songs, or other activities in their program, they can share those with families through their daily documentation and conversations at the end of the day. So another idea also might be to have a road safety sharing bag that includes information for families, might have some storybooks and a scrapbook that children and families can record how they keep safe when they're out and about in the community too. So they could include drawings or photos and certainly words of how they keep safe. But it's really about ensuring two-way communication and supporting families to keep children safe whenever they're out and about.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Louise. You've given us so much to think about and some really great information. So thank you so much for your time today. And we look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Thanks, Elizabeth.